are live! Hello, and welcome back to Please Don't Live Stream. Yes, we're back. We missed last week because of technical issues, but now we're back. We're back talking about the greatest year of all time, 1989. And with me, as always, of course, is my trusty co-host, Christopher.
Hello, everyone.
And today we're not gonna do a crowd pleaser like last time. We're not gonna do a cult classic. We're not gonna do an important movie for cinema history. No, we're doing a black and white Japanese 16mm art movie called Tetsuo Iron Man. And why are we doing it? Honestly, out of pure indulgence, because I really like the film. So and I just wanted to talk about it. So that's why I put it on the list, and also because I'm pretty sure, it was you who showed it to me the first time.
Yeah, I got a hold of it. It was back in the days when you got a hold of a movie with just a blank DVD with written Sharpie on.
Yeah.
Tetsuo. I was like, oh, sure.
Someone had burned a copy of something and gave it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll check it out. Yeah. And, what were we, like 15, 14?
Something like
that. Because you were still living in the same town I was in Skogås.
Yeah.
So, it was a while ago. And, I haven't seen it since. Have you?
I think I saw it once after I moved, but I mean, yeah, I don't really remember it. It's one of those movies that you don't think about it when people mention it. You go, oh yeah, I've seen that. I remember that movie.
Yeah.
But it's not a movie you actually, well, for me at least, you go out your way to find and rewatch.
No, it's not really. I mean, like I said, I really like it, and I think it's a great movie. But it's not. Yeah, it's not a movie you just sit down to casually watch on a Saturday afternoon. No, it's not that kind of movie. But let's briefly discuss what it is about, if we can. Should you or I or?
Well, you can give it a shot.
Okay, so here it is. A man, without any name, we just know him as Man or Salary Man, wakes up one morning and prepares to go to work when he discovers that he has like a little metal thing growing out of his face. And as time goes on, during, I don't know, I guess it's like over a day or two or something, he slowly but surely turns more and more into metal, like wires, rebars, just pieces of metal. He's turning into a piece of metal, basically. That's a very, like, that's the elevator pitch for it, I would say.
Yeah.
There's much more going on, but that's what it's really about. He's turning into metal.
I gotta say, it's one of the most eye-catching and attention-grabbing start of a movie.
Yeah.
You get right into it, and it really sets the
tone.
Sets the mood. Yeah, the tone of the movie. And this is what you're gonna watch.
Yeah, because the movie starts with what I guess is the antagonist, if you can call it that. The metal fetishist, as it's called, or he's called. It starts with him like inserting a piece of rebar into an open wound in his thigh.
Well, it starts when he making the wound. So he uses a knife to cut up a big wound in his thigh, and then just pressing in the rebar.
Yeah.
And then, from what I gathered, he passes out because of the pain.
Yeah.
And then when he wakes up, the wound has started to fester and it's full of maggots.
Yes.
And that's how we start this movie.
Yeah, no dialogue, no explanation. That's just what we see. And it's like, what? And then it continues on. He gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
Because he starts running into the street in like a panic. And then we don't really know what happens with him for a while. This isn't really like a straightforward narrative, because it's not until like the third act that we actually get to know who this metal fetishist is when we see some flashbacks. And it's around the same time we figure out that it's the salaryman that hit him with the car. Yeah, trying to discuss the plot is not really without any visual aid. There's not really any point. It's just a person becoming something else, and in this case, it's a metal monster basically. He's infected with something.
Yeah.
But let's start with, what did you think of the movie the first time you saw it, if you remember?
The first time I saw it, it was around that time that I started to, well, realize there are other movies than Hollywood. As we said, like 14, 15, and you start to find these weird movies from Japan, and yeah, and you, yeah, it was more like I couldn't say I thought it was good, but it was fascinating.
Yeah.
Really fascinating to see something so different. It's the same feeling when you first discover David Lynch.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is weird, and I'm not sure I like it, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something different.
Yeah.
And I think even back then I realized how extremely good the makeup is, and it looks. Well, the movie looks like shit, but the production is really looking really good.
Yeah, it feels like it's like intentionally looks like filthy. Everything is sweaty and wet and dirty. Even all the metal, it's not like super clean, like the Terminators, walking around like these like nice like silver looking things. It's all dirty, rusty, like grimy metal. It's really disgusting.
Yeah, and really piles on with because it's black and white and 16 millimeters, so it's kind of grainy.
Super grainy,
and, yeah. And no, I don't think any, very little visual effects put on afterwards. Also.
Yeah, maybe something, but most of it is like physically in shot, which is awesome.
So when I say it looks like shit, I mean it in the good way. Like, it's meant to look like shit.
It's intentionally disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I really like. Like, yeah, the first time I saw it, which was with you, I did like it. I didn't really understand it. I mean, it's kind of movie you can interpret in different ways, but I remember, I don't know if we discussed it or if you told me what it was, but it almost works, like, on a surface level, it almost works as a comic book movie. Like, you have the creation of the bad guy and the hero base, sort of, and them clashing in the end, which is that's like the first way I interpreted it, and it was interesting to rewatch it now earlier today, and realizing that's not really what it is at all. Like, there isn't an antagonist and a protagonist. They're both kind of in the gray zone. And it's not about good versus evil at all.
Yeah.
At least not in my interpretation.
One thing that really hits me when we watched the movie, yesterday, it's shot like a manga. Sort of.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It really feels like it's an adaptation straight from a manga to a movie, like a moving manga, because you really have these panel shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is
hard to explain without the visual.
Yeah, and it's helped by the 4.3 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like comic book squares basically. Yeah, and there's a lot of definitely towards the end, when the metal fetishist is attacking him, he like strikes a bunch of poses, and his hair is all like anime basically, and he's like a silhouette against the backdrop, and it definitely looks like a comic book from time to time. So there probably is something to the whole like comic book aesthetic and the way it's constructed.
Yeah, so I think that's why, both because it's the well, we are from the West, and we are we're thinking in movies with antagonist protagonist.
Yeah.
We think that movies are that way. So of course we're going to put those labels on the characters, even if it's not meant to be. Um, so I think that's, and also because it is a very comic booky feel
Mm.
to how the movie's shot.
Yeah.
And I think those two things together makes it that the first time you watch it, you feel like it is a superhero supervillain
Yeah.
relationship, even though it's, as you said, more of a gray zone to individuals, really.
Yeah. Exactly. And especially since we were much younger back
Yeah.
then. But watching it now, was how did you interpret the movie? Was there anything that you
Um.
thought of?
Yeah, there was some things I was thinking of. Because I really like to try to figure movies out. I can't really just watch the movie and then just take in what it presents. I need to
Mm.
try to understand exactly everything. That's
Yeah.
why I'm not good with like abstract movies and abstract art
Oh,
generally, because I'm
okay.
like, what is the point? What do you mean? Uh, and then they say it's up to you to interpret. I'm like, no. What do you mean? You're the artist. Tell me. So, um, but a few things that I didn't at all even take note of the first time. One thing, there was some hints on why the metal fetishist is a metal fetishist.
Mm.
That for example, there's one small shot with a doctor who's talking about you have a metal thing in your head. We don't know where it came from. We
Yeah.
can't get it out. You have to live with it. And I took that as a flashback with a metal fetishist when he was a kid or something, and he got obsessed with the idea to have metal inside of him, and
Yeah.
that's why he and it grew to uh, well, a crescendo when he puts a rebarb into his leg.
Yeah.
Then I don't really understand why he got like superpowers. I guess that's just things that happen in
Yeah.
this world.
Yeah. um. Yeah. He gets almost like Magneto-esque powers. Like he can control metal, but more like he can. It's not that he's magnetic. It's like he can like make things metal by touching them. Basically, he does that at a couple of points. Yeah, so I don't. I think that's just because. I think that is part of the whole comic book aesthetic that the director and writer Shinya Sakamoto.
An actor.
Yeah, he plays the metal fetishist.
Yeah.
I think that's part of that, and also, at least that's what I interpreted myself. I did watch a video where they saw it as a transhumanism piece, and I'm not that well read up on transhumanism, but what little I know made sense that he's gaining these like supernatural powers because he has moved past the human state, basically. So that makes sense. But the way I interpret it first, I don't have any like proof of this. But I'm feeling like it's kind of an expression for the directors and writers, like he's like trying to come to terms with his own like fascination with something you're not really supposed to like, a fetish, maybe not metal per se, but a fetish of some sort that he might want to keep hidden because it's not normal, and it manifests itself as literally metal growing out of your body. So when the salaryman first start to show that metal is growing out of him, his girlfriend or woman, as she's known in the movie, she's like, "Oh, you don't have to hide it from me. She's like, I can tolerate anything." And that's when he shows his arm is completely covered in metal, and it's when his penis turns into a giant drill, which of course scares scares her away. She starts screaming and running away. So it's like it's almost because there are some like homoerotic tendencies towards the end. So it's almost, I almost interpret it like a coming out of the closet kind of thing, and but not in a willing way, like almost being forced out of the closet, and that's why it's the clash between the fetishist and the salaryman in the end. Like he doesn't actually want to become this Iron Man, but the fetishist is almost making him, like dragging him out of the closet, sort of.
I got a similar interpretation, but not about coming out of the closet. More regarding film industry in general.
Okay.
That because this movie, when it came out in '89, it was that's why it got kind of famous and he got recognition, because it's against all the norms in the Japanese film industry, and that this movie was sort of this thing that the film industry is trying to take him over, and you need to come into the fold, and you need to make the movies as we want you to make movies, and he's resisting. So it's sort of similar to what you say, but
a similar theme.
But it's I guess it is about, in some way, we'll probably never figure out in what way, but it's a movie about being, well, put into a box that you don't really want to be in.
Yeah, and that's part of the thing I watched about it, the transhumanism part, because the salaryman is an actual thing in Japan, where people basically are or literally like married to their job. They only live to work, and when they're not working, they're not doing anything. They're just like, that's basically what everyone does in the working class. But it's like they barely exist outside of their work, which is kind of a thing, and they all kind of dress like he does in the movie, and that was like an institution in Japanese culture then, but it kind of, there was like a recession or something shortly after the movie came out in Japan, and the working class were the most affected because of it, and the salaryman had to like give up even more of his private life in order to work even harder for his boss, because they needed more money, because they were in a recession. So it's kind of prophetic that the salaryman, like, this is how they interpret it in this video I saw, that he almost like moves. He moves beyond being human. He's becoming something else. That is the transhumanism angle, and like fully like leaves the human world behind, and just becomes this other thing. And in some way, the metal fetishist then being a symbol for like
chaos.
Yeah, chaos. Yeah, this leaving the regular world behind is actually a good thing, like, because being a human isn't even human anymore. You're just a working bee, basically. That's why they, in the end, spoilers, they kind of team up, and they say, we're gonna turn this fucking world into rust, because they've moved past all that human shit. So I like that interpretation. It was a good video. I should link it somewhere. It went very deep. They obviously looked a lot at the movie. So it was an interesting video. But yeah, I had similar interpretation when like I said, when it comes to like being something different, basically.
Yeah.
And then accepting it in the end, I suppose, because he does accept becoming the Iron Man, and actually likes it.
I gotta say, the movie, it's a lot better to talk about and thinking about than actually watching it.
Yeah, well,
there are a lot of parts that I get so bored about. There are a lot of the movie's only an hour, few
Yeah.
minutes over an hour long. But it feels much longer, especially the second half. The first half is kind of good. It
Okay.
works.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. That the
Yeah,
second
but the
half
second
kind
half
of
is
falters.
it's too much. Yeah, it's action is the wrong word, but
Sort of.
yeah, but the story just grinds to a halt, and nothing really happens story-wise.
Yeah.
No more developments. Nothing more happens. It's just the metal fetishist is chasing the Salaryman, or by that point the Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then they're fighting, and then they're chasing, and then they're fighting, and then they're chasing, and it gets kind of boring.
Yeah, well, in that way, it kind of resembles a comic book movie. Like the last 45 minutes, or in this case, the last 15 minutes, is just, loud noises and explosions.
Yeah, but at least in those movies, there are cool choreography.
Oh, yeah.
In this one, there's nothing of that, and also I can't stand the I don't know what you could call it, the
stop motion.
No, the stop motion was great, but well, it is stop motion in a way. When they're traveling through the streets, and it's like this super speeded up, like I don't know if it is stop motion or if it's.
Oh yeah, it is a series of photographies.
Yeah, a series with photography in a really fast pace.
Yeah.
For a few minutes, and you're like, this is just annoying to watch. It's not even good looking. It's just annoying.
Okay.
And there was like 3 or 4 of those throughout the movie, and at least three of those were in the second half.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of that towards the end.
So yeah, but there's a lot of those things that I don't like, and when I talk about it and when I remember it, I can like edit those parts out of the movie and just remember the good parts.
Well, I kind of like it because I have more and more over the last, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years or something, gotten into noise music and noise. Yeah. So watching this again, because I didn't really remember what the music was like. All I remember is that weird jazz part you hear after the car crash, and when they meld in the end. But the music is just like weird noises and this really like harsh, like industrial, almost like metal or something. Metal. Yeah. So since I've discovered that I like noise, I really enjoyed the soundtrack. And those parts when they're like traveling, yeah, it's kind of like stop motion. They're almost like music videos. And I tried to figure out if he has done any music videos, because a lot of the movie feels like a music video. It's cut to the music almost.
It could definitely be a music video to a noise album.
Yeah.
In like the same way as Discovery, Daft Punk.
Oh yeah, the Interstellar 5555.
Yeah, that one. It could definitely be one of those to a noise album.
Yeah. So I did enjoy those parts, but yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna like watch it again anytime soon because it is a very abrasive experience.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it. I didn't feel like it because I enjoyed those parts. I did like, I was engaged throughout the entire runtime. But I've heard a lot of people, they kind of lose interest towards the end because it is just a lot of noises and them screaming and moving weird around. Yeah, it gets weird. So yeah, I like it now, but if I watch it again, I've seen this now. It's okay.
I read a few reviews of the movie, and there was one review from when the movie came out, when someone said, and it was a positive review. So this is meant as a positive thing. They said there was one line in the review was like, "This movie is it's as intense as a Novocaine-less tooth removal."
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there is a lot of the way everything is filmed, it's very intense, and there's things put into the movie just to make you like shudder or cringe, like like our background is the part where he drags the like big rebar piece against his teeth, and you're like, disgusting.
And that's also the part with when he's feeding the woman.
Yeah. Yeah, and every bite sounds like a bullet or something.
Yeah, because it's like, because I interpret that scene, because for the people who haven't watched the movie, the salaryman, when he has started to get metal parts, but he's not, he's hiding them,
Yeah.
so people don't see it. He feeds his girlfriend food, uh, and I interpret it as the metal is, he's sensitive to metal because the metal is growing inside of him.
Yeah.
So she's biting the fork, and it makes like a metal on metal loud screeching sound for
Yeah.
every time she bites the fork, and you see him like,
Yeah, he reacts
it's
to
like,
it.
yeah, he reacts in uh like in horror and awe in a way.
Yeah,
uh,
because he like he's definitely like affected by it because of what's happening to him.
mm,
So now he can hear metal moving around. Like he's afraid basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
um
And that's also well going back to the interpretation of this like dehumanizing the salaryman. That was another thing, which I kind of grasped because Japanese culture has a very different view on like sexual relationships than we do. Like it's not like a regular thing that people like have relationships, and especially then for a salaryman who doesn't have time for a family, just because he's working. The fact that he isn't rejected by his woman, the woman. It's rather that like he like distanced himself from her because they're no longer on the same plane. She's still a human and he's becoming something else. So that's why he's like running away, and why the only interaction they have, except for the eating, I suppose, is sex. We see them have sex a few times in the movie, and then when he's really starting to move past his humanity, he literally fucks her to death. So
yeah,
that's part of it as well.
with the drill we talked about earlier.
Yes, with the giant drill dong, which he uses later to. Well, he doesn't kill the fetishist, but he tries to kill the metal fetishist in the same way,
Yeah.
which goes along with the homosexual or homoerotic theme, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those movies where you get to interpret a lot yourself, and I like that because um especially now, like the last. I mean, I've always, or at least since I was a teenager, I've liked like pretentious stuff. I've had periods where I only like pretentious movies, but as I've gone older, I've kind of found like a middle ground. Um, but lately I've been enjoying movies like this more. So it was fun to revisit a movie like this, and just to watch a movie that isn't just straightforward. You can actually sit down and interpret it, and just watch something different. Like we said, it's something different. That's why we liked it, or were drawn to it when we were younger.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could you recommend this to anyone?
Well,
I mean, would you like? Hey, we should watch this movie.
well, as I said earlier, my girlfriend, which I watched it with, she hated it.
Yeah, okay.
She couldn't stand it. She said it was a horrible movie, um, and I would only recommend this movie to people who are into movies in that way. When you like to interpret movies, you want to see some weird ass shit,
Yeah.
and you're open minded. But I wouldn't recommend it to the average movie goer, or
No.
I mean, so it's a very special kind of people who would enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I'd say
Yeah, because
people who like who have seen and like David Lynch's work, and Eraserhead, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because
So yeah.
in some ways, I mean, it is a movie. It has a narrative and all that, but I would consider it more like an art piece, like a moving art piece.
Oh yeah.
Even just on the visual level, because there are so many shots of just the metal things, um, and like I said, all the striking of poses and standing still. There's a lot of like artistry to the movie as well. So like for an art crowd, I suppose I would recommend it. But yeah, this is not like a movie if you want to introduce your regular friends to like a kind of weird movie. So no,
Yeah.
this is not this is later in that journey.
Yeah. But yeah, I like it. I like that it exists.
Yes.
If you're gonna put it that way.
Yeah.
I can't even give it a score. I don't even know what to give it.
No.
It's interesting. It has some great scenery, great makeup. The acting is weird, but I think that's the point.
Yeah. That's
I
probably
think
part of it. Yeah.
that's the direction, I think.
Yeah.
And as we said, it looks bad, but on purpose.
Yeah.
And not that they're trying to make a bad movie. It's, yeah, as we said,
No.
they're trying to make you feel bad.
Yeah, like, make you feel
You
like
should be
uneasy.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Which goes along with the whole theme of like shoving metal into yourself. It's not supposed to be like, oh, cool. No, it's not cool.
So another thing I was thinking, because for example, if you watch if you look at the IMDb page
Yeah.
and the small synopsis of the movie, did you get that the metal fetishists that he turned the Salaryman to the Iron Man? That he
Um,
was that he did it?
not that he like purposefully turned him into the Iron Man, but that he because he's also there are all these scenes where you watch it from the metal's point of view. Like in the beginning when the woman on the train station, she starts poking a piece of like moving metal on the street. You sometimes see it from the metal's point of view, and I think that's part of the fetishist's like superpowers, that he can sense things through metal because he can turn things into metal. So I think that and that's why he turned her into like a metal zombie or something. And I think because he mentions that he knows about the metal piece in the salaryman's cheek, that he noticed that there was another person like him that was like taking to the transformation and not just becoming like a zombie, not being part of the sheeple, actually moving beyond humanism. It's back. So I think he seeks him out and then helps him to further transform into the Iron Man. I think that is part of it.
Because one of the interpretation I got, if we're thinking, if we put the subtext aside and just what we see and what the story in the
just
movie
text.
is,
Yeah,
just text. I interpreted as the metal fascists, as he got hit by the Salaryman, almost and left for dead in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah, we see that as well, and them
Yeah.
just dragging him into the woods and like trying to get rid of him. Yeah.
And then he, for some reason, gets these metal powers, and he has, because it's been a while. They don't state how long, but it's been a while since this happened.
Yeah.
But not that long, because the
they...
woman says like it hasn't been the same since the incident.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I just like, for me, I felt like 2 weeks. I don't know why, but it's something like that.
Something like that. Less than a year at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he has recovered and became this metal fetishist guy, and then he decides to get his revenge. So he possesses this lady on the train station to kill the salaryman, because she attacks the salaryman and chases him.
Yeah.
And then the salaryman kills her, and Metal just loses. And then the salaryman, by mistake, gets infected by the lady.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
the metal fetishist didn't mean him to be infected, but the salaryman became infected because of this fight with
Oh, okay.
the woman zombie robot. And then at that, the mutation starts and it starts to grow, and the metal fetishist says, "Well, I need to take care of this myself."
Yeah.
And then and calls him on the phone and says, "I'm going to get you."
Yeah, yeah, because he says like "drop dead, you metal freak." Yeah, like he like mocks him for being a metal thing, even though he is that himself. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they fight, and then somewhere along the fight, they uh again, I think, accidentally merge.
Yeah.
Because the Iron Man is growing, mutating uncontrollably,
Mm.
and devours the metal fetishists, and then they become one being, and then they can find a common ground that, well, let's take over the world then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I also think, because I know it's not super clear in the movie, duh, but the metal fetishist, his like transformation isn't perfect, because he mentions that the metal that grows out of him is all rust, like he is turning into rust. That's why he's almost like dusty in some scenes, this rust dust. While the salaryman, when he becomes the Iron Man, he he is more pure, even though it doesn't look pure at all. But he's just pure metal. His metal isn't rusty. It's not infected the way the fetishist's metal is. So I think like he sees the salaryman as sort of the next step in the evolution of the Iron Men. So he wants to maybe guide him or help him, and also like use him to then further his own cause, which is what happens in the end. So
Well,
I think he has a fascination for the Iron Man.
yeah, fascination, definitely, but I don't think it's a next step thing. I think it's that they're two parts of. Well, it's more like that they're, yeah, because like water and ice, they're two different parts of the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they also say in the end that let's turn the world to metal and then watch it rust.
Hmm.
Uh, so it's not that that he the Iron Man has the metal power and the Batflesh has the rust power.
Oh
If we
no,
put it
no,
like that.
no! Of course, no. Yeah. Um, it's
So
more
yeah.
that he is a that the salaryman is a like more evolved, because his metal is pure. So the fetishist wants to use him to turn the world into metal, and eventually turn it into rust. Um, and that being like the ultimate goal of transhumanism, like evolving the entire world beyond what we are right now, and that's what they're doing. So, and I think Tsukamoto, he from what I've heard, is not the transhumanism thing isn't something he thought of per se, but that it kind of fits, and he has like, I don't know, accepted that interpretation of the movie, and that it kind of makes sense to him as well. But it's more just about losing your humanity more than moving past it, I think, which is part of the whole salaryman culture in Japan. So that's what I got from it.
Yeah. So it is it's a when you put it like that, like we did now,
Mm.
where we remove the subtext and we remove the stuff in the movie, all the stuff in the way, it's a quite of a simple story. It's not that complicated, really.
No.
It's just the way it's told is really convoluted,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it's so interesting, and so why people can interpret it so differently.
Exactly, and that's the art aspect of it, the pretentious aspect, the thing that people don't like. Like you could easily, once again, why it kind of resembles a comic book movie, you could easily make this into a much more like streamlined, like action movie about a guy turning into a monster. I mean, it's kind of not really, but it's kind of like the Wolfman or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, sort of.
Yeah.
But they change back and forth. But it's kind of like that, and it could be more of a, like a 3-act structure, and you actually get exposition along the way. But since Shinya Tsukamoto is more of an artist, he sees things in a different way, and he expresses it in a way that isn't like normal, and that's why the movie looks the way it looks. And I like that aspect of it as well. Like we said, it's interesting to see something that isn't normal. It's outside of the Hollywood norm, and I like that because it's not for everyone, but I think more people would benefit from kind of trying to like accept it or understand it, instead of just that's just some weird movie. Like actually sitting down and see that there is a point to it. Yeah, some of the imagery is just weird because it's weird, because he likes that kind of style, but that the movie isn't just weird. There is a point to it all. There is a method to the madness, so to speak. This isn't the movie for people to like we said, it's not an entry level avant-garde film, but the people should try to watch more movies like this. At least give it a shot instead of just dismissing it.
Yeah, give it a shot. It certainly deserves that.
Yeah.
Maybe, as we did when we were 14, 15.
Yeah.
Give it a shot, and we found that, hey, there are other movies, and I'd say we have seen a lot of movies since then that's not in the norm. More movies in this kind.
Yeah.
And this movie is definitely one of those movies that made us take that route.
Exactly.
And maybe if everyone gave this movie a shot, a lot of people won't like it.
Oh no.
A lot of people hate it, but some people might find it interesting and go that route to see more of these kinds of interesting movies.
Definitely.
So, are you gonna watch the other Tetsuo movies?
Yeah.
There are two more: Tetsuo Bodyhammer and Tetsuo the Bullet Man.
Yes. And there was, I thought I saw something else. Maybe that was just some like retelling of the first one or something. No, I'm sorry. No, I read it was about the Bullet Man. Sorry. Yeah. I think I'm gonna watch him because I have him available, so I probably will watch him.
Yeah, because Bodyhammer, it came out in '92, so 4 years.
4 years after he shot the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Bullet Man came out 2009, so it's quite recent.
Yeah, and if you watch like trailers of that, it feels like a more like regular movie. It almost looks like a regular action movie, except for the guy he's a bullet man. So
yeah, that's what I've heard, is that the other movies aren't as interesting as Iron Man, because it's a higher budget and
it's more straightforward.
More of a conventional movie.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's usually the way with these kinds of movies. If you make one of these movies early in your career, you usually, I mean, look at Sam Raimi, for example. Yeah,
he's kept his style, but he's definitely made more Conventional movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched any other Tsukamoto movie except for Iron Man. But I've heard he kind of retains his like weird kind of style, even though his other movies are more easily digestible or easily approachable, but they still feel like a Tsukamoto movie. So I'd be interested in watching some of his other stuff. Like his last movie was it's a like period piece, a costume drama from 2018. That would be like see how he interprets a costume drama. Would be interesting.
Yeah, I also noticed that he's an actor in a lot of movies.
Yeah, I think he's technically acting in more movies than he has directed. Or at least like similarly. and
Itch the
he's
Killer,
in
for example.
and he's like in some bigger projects. No, he was in the latest Godzilla reboot, the Japanese Godzilla reboot, Shin Godzilla. He has some part.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah, he has like a voiceover thing. Oh, and he's in Silence, the Scorsese movie about the priests in Japan. He plays Mokochi. I don't know who that is though.
I haven't seen that movie, so.
Great movie.
Oh.
It's very long, but it's a good movie. So he's definitely like he's become part of the mainstream, sort of. And what is kind of weird is that it was Tetsuo that kind of made people discover him. It was because of Tetsuo, this weird ass little movie, that he kind of became part of the mainstream. Because it was like big in the festival circuit, and he like got more work from this weird little movie, which is awesome. But it's I was not expecting that when I started reading about it.
Yeah, I did read something about he got kicked out from his father kicked him out because of this movie.
Yeah,
Tetsuo Iron Man, because he was like, "Why are you doing this movie? It's gonna suck."
Oh, that was even I gotta find that. It was a quote by his father about the movie. It's here somewhere. Let's see. And he because he decided to he quit his job at an ad agency. I think he was making like TV commercials, which once again, the music video quality of the movie, it makes sense then because he's done like TV ads. Because he quit that job so he could focus on making this movie. And his father said, here, Kazuo Tsukamoto said, there are two types of human being, those who succeed and those who fail. You are a failure, so you shouldn't make this film. Thank you, father.
Thanks for the confidence.
Yeah. So, and his father was not like a out and out salaryman, but he was kind of that. He had that mentality, like you should just get a job and work, not make weird artsy stuff. No. There's no time for that. You have to make money. So that's kind of, I think that's part of why he like rejects the whole salaryman culture in the movie.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting aspect of it, and also that he because it's weird because I know his father gave him his first camera, but then when he started making films with it, because they weren't like regular movies, this was when he was a kid still, so he would make like weirdo movies even back then, little shorts like Iron Man, Tetsuo. His father would always be like disappointed, and he would burn the movies he made because he had disappointed his father, so they weren't worthy to exist. And at one point, while making Tetsuo, like a year into the production, because it took like 18 months to finish the movie, not principal photography, but everything else, because there's so much effect stuff in it. He was like gearing up to just throw it away, like, you know what? Fuck this movie. My father doesn't like it. It's probably terrible. And then he realized that he had spent all of his money on making this, so if he didn't finish it, he couldn't sell it and he would be broke. So, okay, I'll finish it.
Fine.
Yeah. So, that's an interesting aspect of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an interesting movie. Not just the movie itself, but everything around it.
Yeah.
And just things like the production was... They were scouring scrap yards.
Yeah.
Like, for days, and just gluing him on the actor.
Yeah, and the fact that... I don't know which scenes it is, but towards the end of principal photography, because the actual principal photography took 4 months, which is very long for a movie, especially such a small movie like this. It was literally only Tsukamoto and the main actor, the guy who plays the salaryman, There was no one else on set. Everyone had left because there wasn't any money and it was taking too long. People had other things to do. So they were 2 people making a movie, which I can relate to. Tomoro Taguchi, who plays the salaryman. So that's kind of fun. Kind of similar to Evil Dead. That movie, they shot it, periodically, but it took 8 months to finish that. And there are literally scenes where it's just Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and like one more person, probably Raimi's little brother, because he forced him to be there. So yeah, that's an interesting aspect as well. What time is it? Wow, we almost made this is almost a commentary track at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because no, we mentioned that. Yeah, the movie's very short. That's why I almost thought it was like a short film that only was shown in festivals, but it is technically a feature length movie. That's why he could show it in theaters and actually make money off of it, which is weird. Seeing a movie like this in the theaters.
I do think that this movie should, maybe not now, but now it's too late, really. But it should be cut down. There should be a shorter version, where they cut down the third act. I mean, at the halfway point, I think it is when the metal fetishist calls him at that time.
Yeah.
The movie should sort of end around there, I'd say. Maybe a small fight between them and then they merge.
Okay.
I don't think it really gives anything that those extra 30 minutes.
No, and that's also interesting. It was only supposed to be 30 minutes to begin with. It was supposed to be short, but he kept adding things that that he felt was things he wanted to represent in the movie, or like personal things. So he kept adding and adding and adding. That's why it took so long to film, and it became an hour long. But just got a question or ask: do you think the last 20 minutes of the movie would be more acceptable if you had more stuff in the beginning, or is that just too long overall?
Good question, but
if it wasn't as a big piece of the movie, if it was a smaller piece of the movie, would it be better? Because there is a longer cut of the movie. You were talking about cutting it down.
Because I do think I just think it's too long. If there would be something in between, a scene or something, a break in those 20 minutes of zooming around and fighting, if there was a break, a breathing room, something there, then it would have worked. But that clump of movie, no.
Okay, because there is an alternate version called Tetsuo the First Cut, which was only released on DVD. I don't know, somewhere, and it's 77 minutes instead of 67 minutes. So it would be interesting to see what those 10 minutes are. Imagine if it's 10 more minutes of them fighting and running around.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'll have to see if I can find that somewhere. I'd like to own this movie.
Yeah.
But I think that's it, right?
Do
you have anything else to say?
Well,
okay.
One more thing to add for the audience. The entire movie is on YouTube, so you can watch the entire movie without spending a penny. So there is no reason for you to not watch it.
Exactly.
Everyone has an hour to spare, and it's on YouTube. So
you know what?
Come on.
I'll link that as well. Yeah. Even if you're like, oh no, I hate artsy-fartsy movies. Yeah, give it a shot. You probably won't like it because it's super weird. But try something new. Yeah. I agree. But that's gonna have to be it. I've said everything I want to say about it. So let's wrap it up by looking at what we're doing next week. I think it's Tango and Cash, right?
Yeah, it is. Tango Cash commentary.
Oh, we're doing another commentary track. Yeah. Yeah, talk about a contrast. This week we're doing Tetsuo. Next week, Tango and Cash. Which is another one of my favorite movies of all time. And hopefully, it's not, I'm not sure yet, but we might have Gabbe back, because I know he wanted to be in on the Tango and Cash episode. But I'm gonna have to confirm that with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see you all next week. Thank you for watching. And in the archives, thank you for watching. And yeah, until next Monday, have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.